Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to my review of the latest release by Seiko. It's their Seiko 5 Sports GMT Field Watch. Now this one is the latest release. It's relatively hot. They only launched this one at the beginning of January, and here we are. I'm making this video at the end of January, and already this one is being heavily discounted, and I do mean heavily discounted. Seiko, in their infinite wisdom, have decided to call this model the Deception. There are two different versions of this watch on general global release. This is the Seiko UK website. The one on the bracelet with the black dial is known as the Deploy. This is the official Seiko website from India, and here is the black model. They've called it the Deception. Not sure about that one. Perhaps it gets a little bit lost in translation. It's not generally a word associated with positive connotations. So I thought I would start today by talking about price. We'll look at the Seiko list price, and then I'll reveal the price that these are already being sold for here in Australia. Like I said, it is a heavy discount. Then I'll run through the basics, the dimensions and specifications. Then what else is available from within the Seiko range that looks a lot like this. And of course, the obvious ubiquitous comparison between this one and the Rolex Explorer. Let's talk about money then, my favorite topic. So the Aussie retail price on these is $630. That roughly comes in just over $400 US. I believe the USA price is around the $430 mark, so that seems fair. However, it doesn't take much to dig around and get a bit of a discount on this one already. I found it readily available in Australia for under $550. But I was sent an email over a week ago offering me my choice of the two models for $399 Australian dollars. Now, we all know that Seiko's RRPs are optimistic, and if you wait 4 to 6 months, you can usually find them at a good discount. Very surprising to find this one at a heavy discount within the month of its release. Is there something in that? Is the watch a shocker, or have companies just overstocked? Have they overestimated demand? Let's have a closer look at the watch and find out. So this black one is called the SSK025K1. I believe the stainless steel version is the SSK023K1. That is a little bit unhelpful, Seiko, frankly, referring to this one as the SSK, considering the SSK moniker was already applied to the 5KX GMT that launched in the middle of 2022. Hopefully someone gives this one a nickname and we can soon forget about these complicated Seiko reference numbers. But we're not quite there yet, are we? So here is the SSK025 next to the SSK005, the orange 5KX GMT. Here it is next to the SRPG, and you can see the similarities. This is essentially a four-handed version of their relatively new Seiko 5 field watch they launched at the beginning of last year. The surprising thing is it's taken them this long to stick a 4R34 in the back of that one to create this one. And because it's essentially a four-handed SRPG, it has identical dimensions, those being 39mm in diameter. I actually measure it at 39.1, 13.9mm thick though, so yeah, definitely not slim. 47 lug to lug, 20mm between the lugs, and as supplied on this double pass leather NATO strap, this one weighs in at 80 grams on the nose. Water resistance is 100 meters. Only a push-pull crown, not a screw-down crown today. That is a piece of domed Hardlex mineral crystal, and the movement in the back, as discussed, is a Seiko 4R34. Which you can see today thanks to a display case back. The majority of Seiko 5 range, the sports range, do have display case backs. It's quite a nice one actually. It's got the Seiko brand name, water resistance around the outer edge, and 4R34. So that's the 4R34, also known as the NH34 when it's not on a Seiko. The movement that has kicked off the craze/phase of affordable GMTs that we are still going through. It's kind of 18 months and counting with that. 24 dual hacking and hand winding, bi-directional winding, roughly 40-hour power reserve. Seiko quote 41 hours on their website, minus 30 to plus 40 seconds per day variant, so don't expect it to be super accurate. And the original owner, I bought this one used. I bought it used for more than $399 the week before I got that email. I've been kicking myself since. Movement Malaysia, cased in China, so do not think your affordable Japanese watch has ever been to Japan, never mind made in Japan. It wasn't. This one wasn't, and most of the rest aren't either. So I bought this one used because it popped up at the right time for the right price, and I quite like the look of this black model, even if I'm not entirely convinced that Deception was the right name for it. Because it's a field watch, kind of looks good on this NATO strap as well, and I don't mind the occasional coated black watch. Now, Seiko just call it coated on their website. I'm going to assume therefore that it is PVD rather than the more expensive DLC, because we are dealing with an affordable Seiko after all. You can see a little bit of fine brushing. They just spray a coating on top of the case, so you can expect the stainless steel one to look pretty similar, obviously, but in stainless steel. So circular brushing on the upper lugs and a radial brushing on that fixed bezel. Nothing on the crown today, unsigned crown. You got to spend north of $1,000 sometimes on a Seiko to get a signed crown. And there we are, that Hardlex crystal. That is Seiko's own proprietary mineral crystal. Not single, not double. You do get a little bit of distortion at the edges of the viewing angle. All right, let's switch to the macro lens for a close-up look at the dial and hands. Then I'll chuck in a bit of outdoor macro here as well when appropriate. I think it looks good. It is essentially the SRPG Seiko 5 field watch, but with a fourth hand. Nothing wrong with that though, because the SRPG was a good looking watch and this one is no different. There's a lot going on for a 39mm case, especially with the addition of that fixed bezel and all of those numerals, but yeah, it hangs it all together quite nicely, and I don't mind the colours at all either. I wouldn't describe this as Fotina, but those Arabics, the major Arabics, the 1 to 12, have definitely got a little bit of a green, a neon lime green tinge, as do all four of the hands. Now obviously the hour hand and minute hand are brushed silver, the GMT hand and the second hand have got that kind of stealthy black center section, but with an orangey red tip. I love the big paddle tip of the GMT hand, definitely a reference to the Seiko dive watches of the 60s, and I love the fact that they have chosen to colour match the tip of the second hand as well. I also like the frame around the date complication at 3, not bad for an affordable watch, and the fact that they have colour matched the date wheel as well. We have a properly black date wheel. I would have loved it even more if they had painted those numerals like the 3 you can see here in green to match the rest of the Arabics, but hey, you can't have everything for your 399 Aussie dollars. The whole dial has a very faint granular texture as well. This is a military style watch, so a granular texture means you don't get reflections back from the watch dial. The one thing though that is a little bit disappointing on this dark black colour version is the bezel. Inevitably, a stainless steel fixed bezel with the 24-hour GMT markings looks better than this one, I think. You can see the brushing more clearly. It looks better black paint filled. This one, you don't quite get the effect, and the numerals themselves are also harder to see. Alright, Lume. Now, because this is a Seiko, of course it is equipped with their own proprietary lume they call Lume Bright. Lume Bright has a kind of mid-green colour. It's closest to C3 if you want an external reference. I always say Lume Bright is like a 7 out of 10. Never excels, but never disappoints. And at this price, that's okay. If I turn the speed up on this one, you can see those little applied markers around the edge of the dial fade first, but the hands don't fade today. End of the 20 minutes, all four hands are still visible. I think that's perfectly acceptable lume for the money. That's the watch on wrist. I think it looks good. It also looks legible thanks to the silver hands and those lime green coloured large Arabic numerals against the black dial. Now obviously this is the supplied NATO strap. Seiko on their website say it's calfskin, and as you can see here, it also has some nice branded coated hardware. Do bear in mind though, 13.9 plus double pass NATO equals 16.5. That is chunky. If you're used to wearing NATO straps, you're probably used to a bit of extra height on your wrist. If that's too chunky for you, then you can obviously swap out for a Zulu, a kind of two-piece Zulu, a single pass NATO, or something entirely different, canvas or leather or whatever you like. Now, you may know I bought a Seiko Alpinist GMT this year. I bought it for myself as a Christmas present, and then I sold it about a month later, at least in part because I found it a bit too thick in combination with a leather strap that was a bit too stiff. This one, I don't have the same feeling. I think its thickness is an advantage here. It's a cheaper watch. It's supposed to be rugged and robust, and the thickness kind of gives it that feeling. And I'll admit I'm going through something of a NATO strap moment at the moment. After years of ragging on these things and resisting them, I'm quite enjoying them occasionally on the appropriate watch, and I think this very much is the appropriate watch. Like I said, legibility is pretty good. There's a lot going on there. Don't expect to read all of the numerals, but you can read the main ones, and I guess that's the main thing. Alright, moans and niggles. Well, I have already discussed the thickness. Yeah, she girthy, especially with that double pass NATO strap, so do bear that in mind. Perhaps you'd be better off with a stainless steel version on the bracelet if you're worried about the thickness. Usual Seiko cost compromises at this price point. You have Hardlex mineral crystal, which is anything but hard. It will scratch just as readily as any other mineral crystal, and an unsigned crown. The NATO itself, I'm not going to complain about that. I think it's actually pretty decent. Plenty of stitching, plenty of holes, plenty of length. If you're a big boy who likes small watches, you won't have a problem with that. Quality control though, don't buy an affordable Seiko if you want quality control. Have a look at the 24 there. How does it align with the 12 and the little triangle? It doesn't. It's definitely squinty to the left, meaning the 6 doesn't sit either, the 18 doesn't sit either, the 12 doesn't sit. I reckon the whole bezel is just a little bit twisted around to the left. Have a look at the original Seiko press shot, have a look at how perfectly everything lines up, and then have a look at how mine doesn't line up. I say it again, if you're going to buy one of these, don't expect perfect quality control. Try it on in a shop if you can to make sure the unit that you're buying is as good as you need it to be. And of course there will be numerous references to the Rolex Explorer in connection with this watch and how it's an affordable alternative. Do you know what? It's not a bad alternative if you do want this style of watch from a big brand, but for a fraction of the price of the Rolex. So then why is this one being so heavily discounted within such a short time of its release? Well, we all know that Seiko's RRPs are a bit of a joke, much like Citizens and Orient, so I don't even know why they bother releasing a watch at $600 when you can buy it for $400 if you're prepared to bide your time. Maybe the Field Watch GMT is not as popular as the Dive Watch GMT. Maybe the GMT thing is becoming a little bit overplayed and there just wasn't sufficient demand. But I like this watch. I think it's pretty good. I would definitely recommend it to you rather than the three-handed SRPG models. I think it looks way better and there's a lot going on for not a lot more coin. Just don't be telling anybody that you've bought a watch called the Seiko Deception. So there you have it. Well done for making it all the way to the end of the video. Are you going to buy one of these or are you going to wait for the price to drop even further? Let me know, leave me a comment. If you don't fancy this Seiko GMT, why not check out either of these other two instead? I'll see you all again in the next one.